Did you know this Christmas comedy hides some surprising facts? Today, we're diving into fun and lesser-known movie facts about Jingle All the Way. From behind-the-scenes moments to iconic scenes, let's unwrap the facts you never noticed.
Jingle All the Way isn't a cozy Christmas comedy. It's a survival story wrapped in tinsel, a dad chasing one impossible toy, a city turning shopping into combat. But behind the Turbo Man smiles and plastic cheer, the movie was pulled straight from real mall panic. Sinbad took the role convinced it would finish him before it even started. Arnold only showed up because another blockbuster collapsed at the last second. And when the story returned, the sequel slipped out so quietly most people never noticed. These are 15 weird facts about Jingle All the Way, so take a breath, grip the shopping cart. We're going back to the first shove. Number 1. The movie came from real toy fights. Jingle All the Way didn't start as a cute Christmas comedy. It started as a warning. Early 90s, holiday season, a store aisle packed so tight nobody could breathe. Randy Cornfield watched adults circle a hot toy like it was food. Voices rose, hands grabbed, the air went sharp. For a second, it felt like somebody was going to swing. And the scary part wasn't the chaos. It was how normal it looked. That image followed him. So he began hunting the pattern. Cabbage Patch Kids, Power Rangers, any toy craze that turned December into contact sport. Scarcity does something ugly to people. It doesn't just make parents desperate. It makes them territorial. Cornfield didn't write a fantasy. He wrote what he saw. A story where the magic toy doesn't reveal children at all. It reveals adults. That's why Turbo Man's in-movie show was shaped to feel like Power Rangers on purpose. Bright suits, loud poses, manufactured hype, a fake franchise designed to look exactly like the real ones that had already trained families to stampede. Then Chris Columbus came in with his own bruises. He'd fought crowds trying to get a Buzz Lightyear at the peak of Toy Story mania. He didn't sand the edges down. He sharpened them. Because the film only works if it feels a little too close. So when you watch Howard get swallowed by that toy hunt, it isn't exaggeration, it's a memory, with Christmas lights wrapped around it. Number 2. A lawsuit nearly changed everything. The movie was born from real mall mayhem, and then somebody swore it was stolen. Years later, a Detroit high school biology teacher filed suit, claiming 20th Century Fox copied his unproduced script, Could This Be Christmas? He said he'd submitted it and heard nothing back. Now a major studio was cashing in on his hot toy nightmare. Fox didn't argue feelings. They argued dates, paper trails, a timeline that said Jingle All the Way was already moving before his pages ever hit their desk. For a moment, it got ugly and loud, because in Hollywood, the only thing louder than a Christmas crowd is an accusation. Then the calendar did what punchlines can't. When the timeline evidence landed, the theft claim collapsed on impact, like a Turbo Man doll ripped from the wrong hands. Number 3. Sinbad feared. This role destroyed him. Sinbad didn't walk into Jingle All the Way like a sure thing. He walked into it like a gamble that could crack his whole image. Up to that point, he was the friendly guy, the safe laugh, the kind of comedian parents trusted. But Myron wasn't warm. He was angry. He was humiliated. He was the guy on the same toy hunt, except you could see the panic leaking out of him. Some of the producers worried that kind of edge would poison Sinbad's brand. And then the audition didn't even happen. Sinbad had a commitment on a USO tour in Bosnia and Herzegovina, not a press junket, not a convenient excuse, a war zone visit, traveling with Hillary Clinton. In this business, missing your shot usually means the door closes and the studio finds someone else before you even land back home. Chris Columbus didn't. He waited, which only made the pressure worse because now Sinbad wasn't just auditioning. He was auditioning with the feeling that the whole production was watching the clock. When he finally read, he thought he blew it. He walked out and told his manager he was done, finished. Like one bad audition had finally proven he didn't belong in movies at all. That's how deep the fear ran. Then the call came anyway. Not only did he get the part, he reshaped it. Myron didn't land as a cartoon villain. He landed as a man collapsing in public, trying to stay funny while his pride gets shredded aisle by aisle. And that's the twist that sticks. Sinbad spent the whole lead up convinced this role would end him, and it became the performance people remember every December. Number 4. The name wasn't the real problem. Turbo Man sounds inevitable now, like it was always printed on a box, always shouted by kids, always meant to be the holy grail. But early drafts couldn't find the name. The Turbo, Turbo Guy, the Turbo Guy, Turbo Tom. Every option felt wrong in a different way. Too cheap, too goofy, too neighbor with a leaf blower, not superhero. And that mattered, because the entire movie depends on one illusion. You have to believe this toy could drive adults insane. If the name doesn't hit, the frenzy doesn't feel real. When they finally landed on Turbo Man, the next problem was worse. They needed someone inside the suit who could sell flight, power, and swagger. Daniel Reardon was mostly a voice actor, not a stunt specialist, and suddenly he's strapped into wire rigs, doing full-body choreography, sealed inside heavy foam and fiberglass under punishing lights. The costume wasn't uncomfortable, it was dangerous. Heat built fast, sweat had nowhere to go. The suit turned into a private oven, so they engineered survival. A race car-style cooling vest, tubing running cold water against his body just to keep him from overheating. And even with that, the flying scene still demanded the one thing Reardon hated most: heights, harnesses, air beneath his boots. That's the part you don't see in the parade. Turbo Turbo Man isn't just flying. He's hanging there, chilled from the inside, praying the suit doesn't win. Number 5. Christmas was shot in scorching heat. The finale of Jingle All the Way sells you a perfect winter fantasy. Snowy streets, holiday floats, breath in the air. A whole city wrapped in December magic while Turbo Man flies over the crowd like a Christmas miracle. None of it was winter. The production couldn't pull off the scale in Minnesota, so they rebuilt Minneapolis somewhere safer and bigger. Los Angeles, a backlot street dressed up like the Midwest, with matte work and helicopter shots stitched in to sell the illusion. It had to look like home, even if home was nowhere near it. And the timing made it brutal. They filmed that winter finale from mid-April through May. The kind of weather where asphalt cooks and costumes turn into punishment. Extras packed the street, roughly 1,500 of them, forced to perform holiday joy while sweat ran down their backs. 3 custom-built floats rolled past. The UCLA marching band played like it was freezing. Everyone smiled through it, pretending it was December while the heat told the truth. That contradiction is the movie in a nutshell. A story about Christmas pressure so intense it makes people snap. Filmed under blazing spring sun, forcing the holiday to exist on command. Number 6. Arnold only joined after another film collapsed. Arnold didn't choose Jingle All the Way because he woke up craving Christmas lights. He landed in it because another movie kept refusing to be born. In March 1994, he signed onto a Planet of the Apes remake that Fox wanted badly and couldn't fix. Script after script came in. Script after script got rejected. The project just sat there, expensive and unfinished, like a machine that wouldn't start. Chris Columbus was tangled in that same mess. He even helped write one of the drafts that didn't survive. By late 1995, Columbus had had enough and walked away. Not long after, Arnold followed. The jungle stalled, the calendar opened, and suddenly, the biggest action star in the world had a gap right when Fox needed a face who could sell panic without losing the joke. In February 1996, Schwarzenegger officially signed on. So the dad who spends the movie getting shoved, humiliated, and hunted through the holidays only exists because a different film couldn't get its act together. Arnold didn't escape the apes. He just traded one kind of animal chaos for another and ran straight into a mall stampede. Number 7. The movie hid a comedy all-star army. Jingle All the Way sells itself like an Arnold comedy. Big star, big chaos, big Christmas noise. But watch closer and you start realizing the movie is packed with people who feel like they wandered in from other worlds of comedy and left fingerprints everywhere. Jake Lloyd plays Jamie, all wide-eyed wish fulfillment, years before the world would know him as young Anakin. It's strange whiplash now, because you can almost see the future pressure waiting off screen. Then there's Chris Parnell in his first film role, learning the basics the hard way. Coverage, matching takes, hitting marks, the unglamorous math of acting on camera while the set around you is running like a circus. And the adults? It's a buffet. Martin Mull shows up as the Ponytail Man, a radio DJ who feels like a real local nuisance. Even his schedule got cursed. He was delayed for weeks because certain scenes needed rain, and the weather just refused to cooperate. Jim Belushi leads the Santa warehouse brawl with the energy of a guy who knows exactly how to turn a crowd into comedy. Vern Troyer appears uncredited as one of the fighting Santas, a blink and you miss it detail that makes the whole scene feel even more unhinged. It's like the movie stalked the background with future familiar faces on purpose, because Jingle All the Way isn't just a film you watch once, it's a rerun you stumble into for years, and every time you spot somebody new hiding in the madness. Number 8. Phil Hartman invented Ted from nothing. Ted Malton doesn't feel like a character who walked in for a few scenes. He feels like a problem that already lived in that neighborhood. The smile, the posture, the way he's always just a step too close. That wasn't the script doing magic. That was Phil Hartman building a person from scratch. Hartman didn't treat Ted like a throwaway villain. He wrote private notes, invented a whole off-screen life to justify why this guy is everywhere, why he knows everyone, why he has endless time to hover around Howard's family like a vulture in a Christmas sweater. In one of the strangest details, Hartman even imagined Ted as the kind of man who'd once sued a company over toner fumes, and won, giving him both money and a permanent grudge against ordinary working life. It's ridiculous, and it's perfect, because it explains Ted's smug confidence. He isn't just flirting, he's invading. Hartman also controlled the tone in the quiet moments. On long shooting days, he improvised songs to keep the kids entertained, sometimes deliberately childish, sometimes potty humor, just to cut tension and make the set feel safe. That contrast is why Ted lands so sharply. Off camera, Hartman was warm. On camera, he made Ted a living nightmare of polite manipulation, and that's the real trick. Ted isn't scary because he's loud. He's scary because he's believable, the kind of neighbor who'd steal your life with a smile and call it being helpful. Number 9. That cop role was meant for a woman. Howard Langston spends the whole movie breaking rules like a man on a mission, so the story needed something colder than another angry shopper. It needed authority, someone who could stop Arnold Schwarzenegger mid-sprint and make it believable. Originally, Officer Hummel was written as a woman, then the role shifted, and Robert Conrad was brought in, already famous from the Wild Wild West. A guy with instant old school weight, the kind of presence that doesn't need jokes, it just shows up and shuts you down. That choice changes the tone every time he appears. Hummel isn't just an obstacle, he's a reminder that Howard isn't only fighting crowds, he's fighting consequences. In In a movie where grown men act like kids, the one person who shuts it down feels like everybody's dad, disappointed, unimpressed, and impossible to run past. Number 10. The director was juggling 3 movies. Most directors are trying to hold one movie together. Brian Levant had to hold 3. The main film, the in-universe Turbo Man TV show footage, and the fake commercials threaded through the story like poison candy. Each one needed a different rhythm, different look, different level of ridiculous. The Turbo Man segments had to feel like real Saturday morning noise. The commercials had to feel like the exact kind of marketing that makes parents lose their minds. And the movie itself had to stay grounded enough that the desperation still stung. So while Arnold is sprinting through snow, Levant is basically switching channels in his own head, directing a feature, a kids show, and an ad campaign at the same time, which is fitting because Jingle All the Way isn't just about a toy, it's about the machine that sells it. Number 11. The movie wasn't finished until forced. Most comedies are finished when filming ends. This one wasn't. Chris Columbus kept cutting and reshaping Jingle All the Way long after the set wrapped, treating test screenings like a scoreboard. He watched crowds laugh or stay quiet and marked the exact moments where the rhythm died. If a joke landed weak, it got trimmed. If a scene dragged, it got tightened. If a beat hit 1 second late, he moved it. Weeks turned into months. August became September. September became October. And the cut still wasn't done because Columbus didn't believe in done. He believed in one more adjustment, one more tweak, one more chance to make the desperation feel sharper and the laughs hit harder. The movie didn't lock because it was ready. It locked because the studio deadline slammed shut. Number 12. The toy was scarce on purpose. Jingle All the Way got hit with the easiest accusation in the world. It's just a toy commercial, a 2-hour advertisement dressed up like a Christmas comedy. And on the surface, it makes sense. The whole plot is built around Turbo Man like he's a real brand that already owns kids' brains. But the reality behind the scenes is weirder and almost cruel. The actual Turbo Man merchandising was limited, not a giant franchise launch, not pallets of figures flooding every store. Compared to the era's real toy monsters, the rollout was small, almost cautious, like the studio didn't fully trust the toy to live outside the movie. And then there's the irony nobody expects. Kids didn't just want Turbo Man, they responded to the villain too. The Dementor tested extremely well, the kind of character children latch onto because he looks cooler, meaner, more collectible. There were even stories of a Dementor figure being developed, but it never became the rival product you'd expect. It didn't explode into a second wave of must-have merch, it just vanished. So you end up with this perfect contradiction. A movie about toy hysteria that didn't actually unleash a toy empire at full strength. Instead, it did something more powerful. It convinced audiences the shortage was real. It made you feel the empty shelf. Here's the flip. It wasn't selling Turbo Man, it was selling the panic around him. And that invisible product hit harder than any toy ever could. Number 13. Released into a box office brawl. Jingle All the Way is a movie about a dad fighting through a crowd for one impossible prize. Then it got released into a real crowd of its own. November 1996 wasn't gentle. It was packed. Studios were shoving big titles into theaters like shoppers jamming toys into carts, and family audiences only had so much attention to give. So Arnold's Christmas comedy walked into a battlefield. It opened in the same season as Ransom, Star Trek First Contact, movies pulling different kinds of crowds in different directions. And then Space Jam arrived like a neon magnet, grabbing kids and parents with Looney Tunes chaos and Michael Jordan mythology. Suddenly, the audience Jingle All the Way needed most had options everywhere. The numbers tell the sting. With a big budget and a massive star, the studio wanted a holiday knockout. Instead, the film landed in that painful zone where you make real money, but not enough to feel like a victory. Not a flop, still doesn't sound good when expectations were built like a parade float. Here's the part that feels almost too perfect. A movie about losing your mind in a shopping war got released into a real one, scrambling for families the same way Howard scrambles for Turbo Man. Number 14. A slightly longer cut exists. Years after the movie planted itself in holiday reruns, it quietly came back in a different shape. In 2007, a family fun edition hit home media with new artwork and a slightly longer runtime. Not a director's epic, not a restored masterpiece, just a version with extra bits tucked back in. A few more moments, a little more breathing room. Small character beats the theatrical cut, didn't have time for when everything had to sprint toward the parade. No alternate ending, no major plot detour, just the sense that someone opened the closet and found a few missing ornaments. Funny how it circles back. A movie about people desperate for the real Turbo Man ended up with its own slightly rarer cut, sitting on a shelf like a bonus toy you never knew was there. Number 15. A sequel made without its soul. The original Jingle All the Way is basically a satire about branding, about a name and a logo getting so powerful that people stopped thinking like humans. Then, years later, Hollywood proved the movie's point in the most uncomfortable way possible. In 2014, Jingle All the Way 2 appeared on shelves as a direct-to-DVD release. No Arnold, no Sinbad, no Chris Columbus, no original cast, no original creative team, just the title, dragged back out like a costume somebody found in storage. Fox partnered with WWE Studios, cast Larry the Cable Guy as the lead, and even brought in wrestler Santino Marella. The premise still smelled familiar: a dad chasing a hot toy, holiday pressure, public embarrassment, the same basic engine. But the DNA wasn't there. The sharp little sting of consumer culture got replaced with broader slapstick. The desperation that made the first film feel uncomfortably real got softened into safer chaos. It wasn't a continuation. It was a label, a borrowed name trying to cash in on a memory the original had spent years building in reruns. And that's why this sequel lands like irony instead of nostalgia. Jingle All the Way warned what happens when people chase a brand instead of meaning. Then the franchise did exactly that and called it Christmas. Bonus fact: for one day, the movie stopped being a satire and turned into the thing it was mocking. The Mall of America, the real cathedral of American shopping, didn't just host key scenes. It hosted the film's world premiere on November 16, 1996, right inside its walls. There were events, crowds, the whole spectacle. And Arnold Schwarzenegger showed up in person, leaning into the moment so hard he even donated memorabilia to the mall's Planet Hollywood. The location didn't just frame the movie, it absorbed it. That's why the mall and the film feel permanently fused. Jingle All the Way wasn't warning about consumer culture somewhere else. It was warning about it from the exact place it thrives. Jingle All the Way didn't come from holiday cheer. It came from crowded aisles, clenched jaws, and that quiet moment when a grown adult realizes they're not acting like themselves anymore. The movie nearly got buried under lawsuits, deadlines, and production chaos you can't wrap in a bow, but it survived because it understood the ugliest part of Christmas and turned it into a mirror. It gave us Turbo Man, Myron's Meltdown, a parade filmed in spring, and a mall that became the movie's real stage. So if you've ever chased one perfect gift like it could fix everything, you already get the joke. If this one hit close to home, let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed it, hit like and subscribe. It helps us keep these videos coming every week.
Put the cookie down! Now!
And that's it for today's Jingle All the Way movie facts. If you enjoyed these fun details, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more movie facts. See you in the next video. Until then, keep watching and keep smiling.